Chapter 167 of One Punch Man came out, and I already know I'm gonna get a million comments about it, so let me just address everything here. If you read the chapter, you know in one of the panels, Saitama says that he can let loose and go all out at full power against a guy who can stay up, but I'm not buying it. This doesn't really make sense knowing what we know about the rest of the chapter. Immediately after, Garo is surprised and even comments on how Saitama is not at all fazed by what just happened. And Saitama even mentions that he's gonna beat the shit out of Garo, completely confident he's able to do so. Not only is Saitama confident he can beat the shit out of Garo, he even says that one hand is enough for Garo. Now just for everyone watching, if someone says they could kick your ass with one hand, are you assuming that they're giving it their all? Because it's clear the disrespect that's meant by this. Not only that, but Garo even mentions how Saitama is toying with him during the fight. Even when Garo does his super fast portal teleportation hopping through and tries to surprise Saitama with speed attack, not only is this after Saitama kicks away a hyperspace gate, but Saitama literally grabs the portal, turns it away from him, and punches Garo with the same hand, all while not even looking at Garo. This dude has turned the complete opposite direction, fully unbothered by this. You're telling me this is the face of a dude who's going all out? But Josh, it literally says full power right there. This is Saitama's full power, right? I mean, at the beginning of the chapter, we see Saitama and Garo clash with Serious Punch Squared, and it deleted a section of space out of existence. And I already know there's going to be a ton of people in my comments telling me all the mental gymnastics and possibilities about how it's not actually Saitama and Garo destroying tons of stars and possibly galaxies light years away, and it's actually just them destroying photons, or it was actually Blast Team, or it was actually a quantum mechanical vortex and a million other things. No. One and Murata are not astrophysicists. They don't care. Saitama and Garo destroyed all of this shit in this general direction, and we know this is the case because the force of their punch was literally diverted in that direction in the panels right before it, and Saitama and Garo were flung in the opposite direction due to the recoil. And before all the people tell me, well, it's not logically possible for that to have happened because that means the force of their attacks traveled faster than the speed of light, and that means that they... Bro. Saitama and Garo were launched to Jupiter's moon in what is seemingly seconds, if not faster. Jupiter itself is about 436.15 million miles away, or 778 million kilometers away. Light travels at about 300,000 kilometers per second. If it took them even 4 seconds to travel there, it means they were moving at 194,500,000 kilometers per second, which is about 648.3 times the speed of light. And if they got there any faster, that means they're moving even faster than that. And I'm giving them 4 seconds because we know Boros' moon kick was only about 4 seconds maximum, and Garo and Saitama are obviously much stronger than Boros, so this is one of the lowest of low balls. But the point of the matter is, it's clear that Saitama and Garo's attacks are not there to be logically possible. They deleted a section of the night sky because the force of their attacks was just too powerful, and yes, moves faster than light. So much faster than light, actually. If you want to wank this already astronomically absurd feat to its absolute logical extreme, then if we give them the ultimate benefit of saying their attacks stretch to the end of the observable universe at about 46 billion light years away, then we can assume that Saitama and Garo's attack moved at 10 sextillion, 356 quintillion, 38 quadrillion times the speed of light. Of course, it's obviously faster than the speed of light by a huge margin, even if you want to straight up lowball it to oblivion. But the point of that point is that Saitama and Garo are obviously not following a one-to-one correspondence with real-life physics, and this is just the beginning of the chapter. And if we take all of this and realize that even if this says that it's Saitama's upper limit, then it means him destroying a moon is clearly not him going all out at full power, even if we lowball these possibly galaxy-ending punches to something lower than the absurd number we calculated earlier. And to add on to all of this, Saitama is clearly not trying to kill Garo, as he's simply just trying to beat the crap out of him, explicitly stated by himself, and this mirrors exactly the same tone as what happened in the webcomic when Saitama told Garo, "I'm gonna kick your ass," and proceeded to meme on Garo where Garo realized that Saitama was straight up toying with him and clearly wasn't Saitama's upper limit. There's even this panel where we see Garo's aura, and we don't see one on Saitama until you realize the Eye of Jupiter's storm and the entire background of Jupiter is supposed to symbolically represent Saitama's immense aura. Not only is Saitama's aura so crazily big, it's off the page and it shows how Saitama is standing atop a mountain, quote unquote, referencing the past chapters where Garo compares Saitama to a mountain, showing again how unstoppable and how immensely strong this guy is. To seal the symbolism down, it cuts to a scene where we see the moon versus the scale of Jupiter, and it's nothing in comparison to Jupiter, which is still not even able to be contained on the singular panel. So if you want to read between the lines, Saitama is so far above Garo that Garo isn't anywhere near a challenge for Saitama. Saitama can end this if he really wants to at any moment. So contextually, Saitama wasn't using his full power. Feats-wise and power output-wise, he's not using his full power. Following the webcomic sequence of this sequence of the fight, Saitama's not using his full power. Anyone with a pair of eyes sees Saitama not using his full power. He's clearly not using his full power. But you know what? I'm going to take it a step further to show you he's not using his full power. So if we take a look at the Japanese for what Saitama is actually saying, and we just half-ass it and throw it into Google Translate, which Google interprets as, well, you can take the plunge, but with a strong guy and do your best. That doesn't really sound like, well, at least I can let loose at full power. But to be fair, this phrase doesn't really make sense at all, because what does take the plunge mean? And why is Saitama saying you can take the plunge? That's weird. Well, Oxford Dictionary tells us that the phrase take the plunge is an informal phrase that means commit oneself to a course of action about which one is nervous. I don't know about you, but I don't think Saitama is nervous. He literally tells Garo to shut up about finding a way back to Earth and that it can come after he beats the shit out of him. Not only that, but Saitama is so unbothered by Garo the entire chapter and so unimpressed with Garo's moves that he taunts his martial arts and then even shows him up by doing his fancy fast moving attack better and faster, to the point where Garo is not only surprised by how fast Saitama is moving, but how Saitama was able to create so many after images. And then there's the point where Saitama is literally waiting for Garo on the other end of a portal when Garo tries to teleport away from Saitama's attacks. Saitama was moving so fast, he was literally already waiting for Garo to teleport somewhere else. So it doesn't really make sense to assume this taking the plunge is Saitama being worried about this upcoming fight, especially the way he's looking down on Garo, and Garo seems nervous because Saitama is unfazed. So let's try a couple different translators. If we throw it into another translator, Deep L, which apparently is one of the best translators around, it says, well, you can go all out, but you're gonna have to go all out with the strong guy. It's still spitting out this you and all out, but for some reason it's saying that Saitama is talking to Garo, as if he's telling Garo to go all out. When you throw this into other translators, it seems to interpret an implied you, as if Saitama is telling Garo to go all out. And some of them even say to do your best, as if Saitama is taunting or telling Garo, yeah, sure, you can go all out, but make sure you do your best. So contextually, in my own personal opinion, this translation makes a lot more sense because it seems like Saitama is basically saying, yeah, at least you can go all out, but you're gonna have to go all out against a strong guy, like me. But of course, I don't speak Japanese. So that's why I went to the Chinese translations of the manga and read it there. So in the Chinese translations of the manga, Saitama says, which translates to, well, you can fight as much as you like. You can fight with all your strength against a guy who can resist. Now, I should note, the Chinese translations don't use either of the words for you or I in this sentence, but every translator implies a you in the first part of the sentence, which, in Chinese, if the person/subject being talked about is already a part of the first part of the sentence, it carries over to the second part as well. Since there are no breaks in the sentence, we can assume that the you being talked about here is also the you being talked about here. But the point is, if Saitama was referencing his own strength of going all out, even if he didn't use the word wo for I, most likely he would have at least used the word zuji, which means oneself or self, to describe his power. Since it's not being described as his own power, we can assume he's talking about Garo here, and is basically saying that he, Saitama, is resistant to Garo's attacks. So, make of this information what you will. However, if Saitama is talking about himself, then I think it's clear from context that he's more so referring to the fact that he doesn't have to worry about the collateral damage of Earth anymore. This also adds on to the Saitama doing more ridiculous feats from before this point from earlier, because we know that Lo is bigger than our moon but smaller than Earth, and clearly Saitama's punch, Ez, can destroy Earth, so the fact that his serious table flip lowballed only destroyed the surface of the moon, we know that he's not going full power as in maxed out. All I'm doing is pointing out that this could be a mistranslation due to the ambiguity of the sentence and how it's translated, but I also wanted to add that I think that these translations make a lot more sense contextually within the story. And also, Saitama in the webcomic tells Garo to go all out as well, which would fit the story beats that are happening right now in the manga. But that's just me. The point is, Saitama is clearly not going all out because we know God is stronger than Garo, and Saitama is stronger than God, and also we know that Saitama is stronger than Garo. It just goes on. I could see this chapter getting redrawn and the dialogue being changed around a bit in this chapter, maybe to Saitama saying something like, let me show you a little of how serious I can be, and Garo being surprised like you weren't fighting seriously up until now, like how it was in the webcomic, but yeah. Now that we've got that out of the way, all of you who disagree with me and want to lowball Saitama can type your 5-page essays on why I'm wrong and why what I'm saying is stupid and I'm just a dumb Saitama wanker and all of that fun stuff. What I do have to say is that Saitama One Punches your favorite verse, he still claps Goku, not just because he's a gag character, but now by feats alone. And also he's leagues above Garo. Anyone who thinks that Garo has a chance here is absolutely delusional. Now the second most important thing. Did Saitama take damage on the final panel? Oh my god, no. We have had this exact same discussion over chapter 165. Saitama clearly didn't take damage there. He clearly didn't take damage here. This exact same effect was even used in the Boros fight, and it was clear afterward that Saitama didn't take damage. I mean, it was clear in the moment if you had eyes, but it was also clear afterward. People who think Saitama took damage, are you even reading with your eyes open? But now, let's talk about the highlights of the chapter. Blast reacts fast enough to teleport Garo and Saitama off of Earth and into space, but of course he can't handle the force by himself, but when his team shows up, Boros included, they're able to redirect the blast one way and fire Saitama and Garo the other way. In the direction of the force of the blast, a section of space is just deleted and a void is left in its place. Some people have been trying to downplay this and say it's actually Blast's team that just teleported the sky away, but this doesn't make sense because we literally see the force being redirected in this panel, and it's not as far out as this panel because it's still in between the space of Earth and the moon. So yeah, Saitama and Garo at the bare minimum destroyed tons and tons of stars, possibly galaxies, with ease. Well, Saitama with ease, Garo was trying his heart out. Also, what's that in the moon? It's clearly God, but people for some reason are assuming it's something else, but I don't see what else it could be other than God. The spine seems indicative of the design of God we've seen a lot, but that's just me reading with my eyes open again. Also, some people are asking why we never saw this side of the moon before, and that's because the moon is tidal locked to the Earth in its orbit, which means only one side of the moon is facing us at all times, so we'll never see the backside of the moon from Earth no matter what. This explains why we never saw God's spine before. It also helps play into the symbolism that the moon is showcasing God watching through the crater in the moon that Saitama made when he jumped back to Earth. An interesting tidbit that along with Jupiter's storm symbolizing Saitama's immense aura, it can also symbolize how God is still watching the fight between Garo and Saitama, even if they're away from Earth, as the eye of the storm literally looks like an eye. Saitama also tells Garo to shut up and that all he needs is one hand, which I found funny, and also should be a reminder to everyone that Saitama is 100% in control of this fight at all times. Some people are saying that Saitama is no longer One Punch Man because Garo survived more than one hit, and I think these people are just straight up stupid because Saitama can clearly end the fight whenever he wants to, but is choosing not to get it out of his system, and to teach Garo a lesson. Saitama also doesn't say to Garo finding a way back to Earth can come after I kill you, he specifically says it can come after I beat the shit out of you, meaning Saitama intends to take Garo alive, which is why Saitama is purposely trying not to kill Garo, even if he is tossing him around a little bit to teach him a lesson. And also he promised Tereo not to kill Garo. Saitama being One Punch Man is not just about ending every fight in one punch, it's the fact that he has the capability to end every fight in one punch. Whether or not he chooses to is up to him. Also, for the people saying Saitama is no longer a gag character, this dude just kicked a portal away purely because he doesn't care, then immediately clocks Garo, and then grabs and moves another portal. This is all so jarring to Garo, who's watching this Looney Tunes shit go down. He's questioning how Saitama can grab these hyperspace gates. So if you want more fuel to wank Saitama and how powerful he is, not only do hacks not affect him, he literally can grab hyperspace gates, which are at the bare minimum 4D, and surprisingly, I'm not being sarcastic or joking when I'm saying that. Saitama taunts Garo and tells him to stop using his little tricks and just to come at him with his fist. Garo obliges and uses a combination of the martial arts he's learned. Roaring aura sky, ripping water stream, rock smashing, exploding heart release, whirlwind, iron cutting, nuclear fission, gravity knuckle. And of course, Saitama tanks it all with ease and says, even I can do something like that, completely unimpressed with Garo, and does his killer move Serious table flip, which destroys at the bare minimum the surface of the entire moon. Saitama then moves so fast as to create afterimages from literally every direction and does killer move Serious omnidirectional Serious punch. Garo then tries to escape into a portal but is surprised to see Saitama already there on the other end ready to attack him before he's able to leave. This surprises Garo so much he's literally sweating and then gets pinballed across all the rubble from the moon. Garo tries to get away from Saitama but smashes into the surface of the moon because he doesn't know which way is up, and he realizes that he's basically a caged insect being toyed with by Saitama. Saitama punches him again, and Garo, as he's cracking more and more, realizes that Saitama is literally limitlessly strong. Not limitless potential like everyone keeps downplaying Saitama with, just genuine, actual limitless strength. Garo's new strategy is just to copy Saitama limitlessly until he wins. They both punch each other, and the chapter ends. No, Saitama did not take damage. But yeah, this chapter was crazy. It had nice moments throughout all of it. I can't wait to see what happens next, even though I know Garo's gonna get clocked, rocked, and spared by Saitama, but it's entertaining. But is there anything I missed in this chapter? Anything you guys disagree with me about? I'm sure there's lots to nitpick about what I say, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. While you're down there, mind serious omnidirectionally punching that like button to account for the after images of Garo hitting that dislike button? Thanks, and have a great day. I'll see you all next time.